Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Low FIDO Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License Lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Are the Democrats trying to lose? November should be a sweep. And when the House and Senate are red, from the radical left, I don't want to hear a peep. Hijacked by extremists, the new owner of Twitter said, even though he's not Republican, they still lost their head. The economy is strong, Joe says. Wait, that can't be right. The GDP is in the red. Is there something wrong with my eyesight? Then there is the disinformation board. What is wrong here? It's a tool to stop us from having a conversation, a tool to stop us using fear. What about this debt relief? Are you friggin' kidding me? Let's talk about who this really helps. Then I hope you'll see. None of the failures Biden has racked up has helped you or me. Now Fauci is a flip-flopper. Is it to remain relevant and on TV? There are a lot of things that we could discuss when it comes to this administration. Unfortunately, none of it is any good. Just name any situation. Who are they fighting for? It isn't us, I'll tell you that. They don't care about the poor, the Hispanic, or the black. The border is wide open. I could care less about the people. Let's talk about all the families that are going to the steeple. Can someone tell me where BLM is now? I don't see them in the streets because there's a killer that kills blacks more than any other that it meets. Fentanyl is killing all our young, and all this needs to stop. There's so much more garbage I could talk about, but I need to quit because my head will pop. Welcome to Divided We Stand. I am Jim Battisti, and as always, my friend, my co-host, and as I like to call him, that hairy beast over there is Joe Aguirre. There is a plethora of topics we could talk about tonight. I know we're not going to get to them all, so let's go right ahead and kick this off. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and skip number 1 and 2 of my topics because I know Joe is going to bring them up. We're going to go right to number 3, which is flip-flopper. There it is. On Tuesday, Dr. Fauci on NPR is quoted to say, "We are out of the pandemic phase of this situation." The pandemic, the reporter then asks him, "Are you saying the pandemic is over?" Fauci then says, "Yes, the pandemic is over." On Wednesday, he comes back on the news and says that it's not over. I don't understand. What's going on? Is it over or is it not? Somebody needs to tell me because the exalted one just confused the hell out of me. Joe, you have anything on that? Or
yeah, Dr. Fauci said, I want to clarify one thing. I probably should have said the acute component of the pandemic phase, and I understand how that can lead to some misinterpretation. We are basically out of the pandemic phase. We obviously now are seeing another spike regardless of that. But he also pointed out that around the world, it's still a pandemic in most places. So I think this is a situation where he said some things, and people who already don't like him jumped all over it. I don't think this is anything more than that. We are coming to the end of the pandemic phase. That is definitely happening, and so we're not quite there yet. Again, this guy reads the numbers every day, and that's what he's. It's not just deciding how he feels. Wake up and like, it's over. It's not how it works.
So this
You
is
know?
my question, right? This
Yeah.
is my question right now. Yes, transmissions and cases are going up.
Yeah.
But the great news here, and this is absolutely not political, is that hospitalizations are still going down. Deaths are still going down.
Yeah.
So why aren't we celebrating this? This is something, it could be absolutely non-political. This is something that could be very good for give the entire country a boost that we so desperately need. And if you want to make it political, there hasn't been much good news coming out of the Biden administration. Let's face it. Not a lot of friggin' things to celebrate. Why not take this opportunity and celebrate one? It might be a good little boost right before the midterms. I'd hate to give the Democrats any kind of strategic advice, but they might need
That's not bad.
They might need
it at all.
Do you know what I'm saying? They might need a little boost here, guys. I don't understand why they want to keep the pandemic going. Why the need to have this pandemic still raging on, and they need all this control, and I just don't understand why we should be celebrating.
I'm curious what you mean by control. What's the control that they have?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, so these guys control, how do I put this? In a day, in a 24-hour period, right? We went from, we're totally in the clear. The exalted one, Dr. Flip-Flop Fauci, said the pandemic is over. Is there any way we can pull that tweet up and I can share it? Or that interview?
Yeah, let me see what I can do. I mean, listen, it
Because
doesn't. I understand
quote,
it doesn't particularly matter because, again, it's science, and you can change your mind. It doesn't have to be the same thing it was yesterday.
The numbers are still going down, right? The numbers from day to day have been going down. So if the numbers are going down today, and I say the pandemic's over, the numbers are going down even more tomorrow. It doesn't make sense for me to say that no, it's not anymore.
Do you think if the COVID numbers were going down, that he again would backtrack on that and look like an idiot and say something different? Why would he do that? Like, for what would be the gain from Dr. Fauci?
I'm curious. That's my question. I don't understand why. If let's face it, let's take Dr. Fauci out of the conversation for a second. All right, let's look at the numbers. If you look at the numbers now, I mean, it's comparable to the flu. I mean, we're very, very close to being comparable to the flu. The flu is not considered a pandemic at all, and by any stretch of the imagination. Right. So yeah, if it's comparable to the flu,
I would tell you that's incorrect. I literally was just reading numbers yesterday that, again, COVID is outpacing the flu, and like double the people have died from COVID than have died from the regular flu.
The past couple of years.
Yeah, here you go.
Of course.
That you have that proportion of the population. I think it's important for people to realize that, because although immunity following infection and recovery does not last indefinitely, it does give a degree of variable degrees of protection against severe disease if you get reinfected. So if you add up the people who've been infected plus the people who've been vaccinated and hopefully boosted, you have a rather substantial proportion of the United States population that has some degree of immunity that's residual, either residual from prior infection, or hopefully people who are getting vaccinated and boosted. We know we have 66% of the total population has been vaccinated, and about half of them have been boosted.
In connection with all this, Dr. Fauci, we live in the Northeast of the United States. We are hearing about more cases here, including prominent members of the public, including lawmakers, the Vice President of the United States. Many of them are having mild or no symptoms at all. What does that tell us about how many more Americans who aren't getting tested as regularly as these individuals are, who may just be walking around with COVID, but not aware of it?
I think you just hit the nail on the head there, Judy, because I am virtually certain that we are undercounting the number of infections.
Interesting.
Just for the same reason. There are many people who I know myself, friends and others, who get infected, who do an antigen test, don't get many symptoms, but don't report it to anyone. So the fact is there are infections that are not getting centrally reported. So I do believe that there's an undercount. We should do better than that. We should probably be able to track them much better. But the good news is the one that you mentioned, and you're absolutely correct. The relationship or ratio between hospitalizations and infections is such that we're not seeing a comparable increase proportionately of hospitalizations. Unlike what was happening with Delta,
And that's good news.
when as the cases went way up, the hospitalizations also went way up.
Should we have stricter reporting requirements, though, so that the country can just keep better track
Yes.
of how many cases there are?
That seems like an easy yes.
I would like to see that.
All right, hey, can you cut this real quick?
Yeah.
So here's the interview from NPR, right? This is a direct quote. This is a quote. We are at a low level right now. So if you are asking, are we out of the pandemic phase in this country? We are, says Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. So that's not a misquote. I mean, I don't understand how you can misconstrue that statement, right? And now they're saying, oh no, they took it out of context. Well, try to tell me what other content can you take that?
I don't know what the question was.
Right?
The question, are we out of the? Yes, we are. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why. I don't know why he changed his mind. I don't see what the benefit would be to him saying that. I think maybe that was just a premature thing to say. Again, we're at 66%. We need to get to 75 for herd immunity. Maybe he's talking about that. Maybe when we get to that, that would officially pull us out of that pandemic phase. I don't know. But I don't see anything nefarious behind it. Again, you're poking around. You're like, what would be the benefit so he could stay on TV? Does he look? He enjoys it. Dr. Fauci's the head of the national. He's been there for 30 years.
Yeah, and he'll go away. Trust me.
No, he's not going anywhere. That's what
I don't I don't understand why.
It's the same agency that found the cure for AIDS.
This is the same guy that's so right about everything, but he changes his mind constantly. So
no, he reads science. Don't confuse the two.
Science isn't going to change that much from day to day.
It does. Science
and if
changes,
you want to talk about numbers changing, that's right. The numbers went down. So you don't go from no pandemic, the numbers go down, and then say we do have a pandemic. That's stupid. That doesn't make sense.
Well, we were already in a pandemic.
So if we're talking about numbers,
we were out of the face of the pandemic.
If you want to talk about numbers and he follows the numbers, he's not following the numbers there, Joe. That doesn't make sense. So you can't say
I don't know what he looked at. I don't know what he looked at from one day to the next where he walked.
Well, that's fine, but don't say he's following the numbers because it just doesn't make sense. Period. It's an absolute lie to say he's following the numbers. If you could explain
to me what the benefit of him walking that statement back would be to him personally, then you've made a point. Otherwise, you're speculating. I don't know why he's speculating that he
flip-flopped. I'm not speculating at all. He obviously did. He obviously is not following the numbers. I just proved that. I don't know why he's doing it either. But I don't know what numbers you're looking at.
I'm more curious what he's looking at because he's got real-time numbers.
Why are the Democrats not celebrating this? And they should be. That was my main question. They need a win. I'm trying. I'm actually being a good guy here and trying to give the Democrats a win. They just don't want to take it. So
why would they not want to take it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You tell me.
There's no reason. There would be no reason
well,
not
if
to be
the numbers keep going I'm not saying if the numbers keep going down like they are, this is a time for them. I'm not saying they're not doing it because they're doing something nefarious. I'm saying this is a great time for them to be like, let's pat ourselves on the back. It's a win, but they're not doing it. And I don't understand why. Right.
Maybe they're expecting a surge of some part, mission accomplished. And then you started getting hit with, roadside bombs. That's a bad look. So maybe they don't want to, maybe this might have been a Fauci jumped the gun and Biden was like, bro, we're not going to say that until we're sure that we're not going to have, because listen, not for nothing, like a month ago, we had another one of those terrible spikes.
Yeah, and the numbers in the hospital of cases, you're 100% right, Joe.
Right.
But the hospitalizations and deaths still decline.
But isn't it hard to say this thing's over if there's a lot of cases, even if they're not severe? It's hard to be like mission accomplished if there's troops dying every day. That doesn't jive out, and people are definitely going to hold that against them. So I think this might be one of those where I think Dr. Fauci let the cat out of the bag. I think Dr. Fauci was ready to call it over, and Biden, for whatever reason, doesn't want to do it yet. I don't think this is anything more than just some again, typical miscommunication by the Democrats. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Just makes them look stupid. But I think I would assume, Jim, that's
all I'm saying, man.
Right,
this
my
is the
best thought is
dumbass. I don't understand why he's so.
My best guess is he jumped the gun on saying the pandemic is over and they're not ready to yield that quite yet.
Okay,
but
so you heard it here first. Joe called Fauci a dumbass. You summarize? I'm summarizing, of course.
Yeah, you could summarize like that. Yeah,
okay,
I think he made a terrible mistake. I think he wasn't supposed to say that yet, and that's the reason they walked it back. This was this was very much a political walking back statement of like, yeah, I said that, but now I'm saying this. And it's like, why? Doesn't even explain really why he walked it back.
Oh, it'll come out. But we're going to move on.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
Really,
there's
two topics that I want to talk about.
You're not wrong. Last thing, listen, you guys like to say this, Dr. Fauci's wrong all the time. I can't imagine if you guys were in the same position trying to anticipate a living virus and how it's going to bob and weave. It's a difficult process. So he does the best he can with the information he can. But to call it flip-flopping or to suggest he's wrong all the time is really being, I think, insincere. Okay. And again, intellectually
he hasn't been wrong all the time, right? He hasn't?
I don't think he's been wrong about anything that he said. No.
Okay. Deal. We're going to move on to the GDP. All right. For anybody who is confused about what a GDP is, that is simply a report card of how the economy is doing. That is the easiest and best way we can summarize that. Joe, would you agree?
Yeah. The gross domestic product. Yep.
So we're in the red, negative 1.4. Okay. So the only reason why I wanted to bring this up, and it's not because Joe Biden's doing a horrible job, even though he is, it's not because the economy is looking like it's going to go in the crapper, even though it does. I really wanted to bring this up because Joe, my hairy friend over there, blamed inflation on the pandemic and supply and demand.
Oh, right? I blamed it on the economy,
right?
Being successful and outpacing the market. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Okay. It's true.
Well, you cannot have inflation and a negative GDP at the same time with supply and demand. It just doesn't. Supply and demand doesn't work in that way, right?
All right. So
right now, supply is about 90%. Right, we're back up to about 90% of level. So the supply and demand is kind of evening out. So that's no longer an excuse, right? The pandemic was the economy was strong at the beginning of the pandemic. The economy was strong at the height of the pandemic. The economy was strong at the bell curve on the other side, right? Coming back down during the pandemic. Now we are out of the pandemic, but we're not out of the pandemic. The border doesn't need any protection from the pandemic, but airplanes do. And now all of a sudden we have a negative GDP. All right. So it's not a supply and demand issue. This you can't have, if it's a supply and demand issue, then unemployment would be a lot higher than it is, right? So again, Joe Biden gets credit where credit is due. Unemployment's low right now.
It's the lowest it's been at any
Right.
point since 1968.
Right? So good on
Yep.
him. I'm giving him his kudos.
6 million jobs created in the last year.
And we have a negative GDP.
The U.S. economy grew by 5.7%, the highest growth in 40 years. For the first time in 20 years, the U.S. economy is growing faster than China's economy. Unemployment dropped from 6.2% at the beginning of last year to 3.6% in March. 2021 saw the biggest drop in people receiving unemployment benefits in a single year, from 18 million to 2 million. And 1.36 million small business jobs have been created since Biden took office. So, yeah, the economy's doing fine. I know the GDP is down. It's all good.
Which says
the
what?
economy is
What is the
growing at
GDP?
the fastest rate in history.
We just agreed that the GDP is a report card. And if you're underwater, you're failing. Right? That's what we literally just agreed on that. So he's not doing a good job, and the economy is not strong. Do you understand, right, that the administration wanted the Fed is trying to keep it from raising the interest level a whole half a point. They're fighting it.
Right, because of inflation. Absolutely.
They're really, really fighting it because they know that if they do, it's just not going to be good for anybody. I mean, the economy is about to stall. It's about to go into stag.
Not at all. Matter of fact, the recession they thought we were going to get isn't really going to be a severe recession. Now, I will say this.
Well, you know what?
Saying
hold on.
Gas and food prices. No, I'm telling you
this
some
is
facts
like
here.
Inflation. This is
gas
the same people that said inflation was transitory, right? These are the same people you want to listen to. Good job. You keep listening to them, Joe.
Okay.
They're right all the time.
Right, you know everything. You're nailing it. Listen, they're saying both gas prices and food prices are going to remain high until 2024, which, again, terrible news if you're a Democrat. It's pretty much by the time this thing it starts to fall, by the time whatever the Democrats do to get it to fall, they'll be handing everything over to the Republicans at that point. So it's again, you could say whatever you want. I mean, the numbers are the numbers. The economy's not stalling and it's not weak. Inflation is a real problem. This is one of the worst, really, and the rise in inflation, as quick as it's gone, Jim's been pretty devastating.
Devastating for people.
And absolutely. And again, it's going to be
that it's devastating more.
It's going to be I don't know who's it been devastating more. You tell me. I don't know. You think it's affecting
the lower end of
obviously,
their spectrum?
Their fan base. Yes, 100%. That's more bad news.
Okay.
Right? I mean, it's bad news all around if you're the Democrats. But the economy's growing. Again, the recession they were expecting isn't really coming. The housing market is insanely strong still, which is really one of the main indicators of the economy. So, yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
That is about to crash real quick, and everybody knows it.
No, nobody knows it. That's 100% not true.
The Fed knows it, and that's why they're trying to fight raising interest rates for half a point. That's exactly what they said. It's exactly what they said.
To control inflation, again, you know why the housing market's blowing up? It's, again, a supply and demand problem.
Is supply and demand.
Not enough houses on the market, and the market's blowing up. The difference between this and 2006, 2007 is, at that point, people couldn't afford the homes they were buying. So when the bubble burst, everybody was screwed. People that are buying homes right now can afford them. That's the reason by the inflated prices. So again, there's aspects of the economy's failing poor people for sure. And that's the worst. To me, and listen, I think if you ask any liberal, what's the true indicator of an economy, they'll tell you it's how the lower class is living. And right now, it's bad. It's bad. So by Democratic standards, this economy is terrible. By Republican standards, this is a good economy.
I don't hear any Republicans saying that it is.
Well, why would they? They never would say that. But the fact of the matter is basically, again,
why would you? I don't understand why.
Jim, what you're seeing with the stock market is simply a continuation of the growth that you had under Obama and that you had under Donald Trump. The stock market's been booming sans a couple of months when the pandemic hit. Otherwise, the rich are getting richer. We know this. The economy's booming from that aspect. From the top down, it's doing great. From the bottom up, it's getting buried. And that's a huge problem for the Democrats. Clearly,
that's exactly the opposite of what they came into office to do.
Correct.
Okay.
Terrible.
So we're gonna move on because that's just gonna make me mad. Oh no, I can't talk about that. I want to talk about fentanyl. All right, the southern border, Title 42 is lifted. Again, I don't want to talk about the immigrants themselves, right? The people coming across, because if they need a better life, then who am I to stop them, right? Who am I to say don't get a better life, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, hello, right? So go ahead. Come on to America. I don't care. Here's what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the drug. Let's talk about the drugs that are coming through the southern border. So there's been multiple studies. I mean, we can go online, we can look them all up about how fentanyl is affecting more urban communities, and predominantly Black communities. Why is nobody that care about the Black people or the minorities screaming about this? Why is nobody standing up on the pulpit saying, hey guys, there are Black people dying in droves this year, in the past 2 years? The cases of ODs, the numbers of ODs have gone up over 100,000 the first time ever in a single year, ever last year. I mean, it's not, and it's nobody's fault. I'm not blaming, I don't want to put blame on anybody, but this is a friggin' problem and we need to stop it. There's enough fentanyl coming through there already this year to kill every man, woman, and child 5 times over. This is a problem. People are dying not even taking the drug. People are dying trying to help those that did take the drug. That's how lethal this crap is. And nobody's doing a thing about it to stop it. Mayorkas told us today.
You think they're doing nothing to stop it? You realize fentanyl catches at the border are at a record high? I mean, they're bringing it in fast and furiously, and we're trying to stop it. It's not like we're not trying to stop it. I don't know.
Why are we not securing the border more?
The border is secure. What are you looking for?
The water's secure. The border's secure, Joe. Are you kidding me?
Where do you think they're arresting all these people? Who's doing it? It's Border Patrol doing their job and arresting people.
Okay,
a lot of it still gets through.
Yeah.
90% of all heroin in the U.S. comes through the Mexican border. 90% of all fentanyl, 90% of all cocaine, all comes through the southern border. That is a fact that's been going on for a really long time.
Why are we not doing anything about it? That's my question.
We have Border Patrol. There's like 35,000 agents in the Border Patrol.
We're being used to process migrants right now. They're all being used to process migrants. They're not securing the border.
They're not all being used. They're not all being. I'm sure some of them don't even know how to process.
Ahead of the friggin', you're right.
I'm looking at an article, dude. Fentanyl arrests at the border are at an all-time high.
That's
which
right,
again means,
and it's still,
which means, Jamie, which means a lot more of it's getting through.
Number one killer. It is still the number one killer.
I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying here. I don't know what you're arguing about.
Job, because they're not. They're doing a shit job.
They're doing a good job. You
Don't
said that they
the
were.
border is secure,
you just act like they're doing paperwork and nothing else. That's what you just said. You said they're just processing people. That's
what they're saying. That's not me saying that.
Jim, who's saying that? Stop saying they. I don't know who they are.
I'm gonna find.
I know that I'm literally looking at the numbers, and they're saying that fentanyl stops at the Mexican border is at an all-time high. Yep. Which again also says to me, Jim, they're bringing it in at an all-time high level, and that we're probably barely touching the top. Okay, so it's bad news. I'm not disagreeing with you. You act like they have open border. Again, we're not going to pretend like there's an open border situation. That's silly, and we're not going to act like that.
You're right. There's not an open border situation.
I don't know who told you that. That's stupid. It's not true. We don't have an open border. I just explained. 35,000 Border Patrol agents have led to a record high amount of arrests stopping fentanyl at the border. So to say that they're not protecting the border is false.
You understand that, right? Two things can be true at once, right? There's a record number
of stops. You said they weren't doing any work to stop the border. That's
wrong.
There's
a record number of stops at the border.
Correct.
That can be true. Good job. Awesome. Good on them. There's also a record number of fentanyl still getting in the country.
Correct.
There's still a record number of young Americans
I said
dying
that. That was what I said.
at a freaking higher rate than COVID.
Yes, that's what I said.
But it's
And
not
then
an emergency.
And then you said Border Patrol wasn't doing anything but processing
They're
migrants.
processing.
That's false. That's false. Jim, it can't be true that they're not guarding the border if arrests are at an all-time high. Those things can't both be true. That's nonsense.
Really, Joe? Could it be higher if they weren't processing? Could the number of arrests be higher if they weren't being half?
I don't know, Jim. I mean,
Okay.
someone's got to do the processing job too, I suppose. I guess
That's
all
right.
these border
That's
agents,
right. Because that's
rather
their
than
job.
go undercover and stop drugs at the border, they're like, we're just going to process all these migrants that probably have more drugs on them, right? I mean, give me a break. This is a weak argument on your part. I'm not feeling this.
How about
I agree with you.
How about the 42 freaking known terrorists on the terrorist watch list that been
got
released
arrested?
into the country? Okay.
That have been released into the, where'd you read that? On Ben Shapiro's website? That sounds like some more nonsense. That sounds
Where are
like
they?
some
Where are
straight
they?
up
They
nonsense.
haven't been deported.
Right. They took 42 known terrorists and they were like, have at it. We hate America.
Look it
Stop
up.
it,
Have they been
Jim.
deported? Have they been deported?
Jim, show me that article. Pull
Have they
that
been
article
deported?
up. I'm
Have
so
they been
curious what
deported?
freedom press whatever.com website you got that from. That
Hold
sounds
on. I'm still finding the
that
Border
sounds
Patrol guy that
really
says we're
sketchy.
too busy processing. The Border
Dude,
Patrol
again, I don't know what articles you're reading from, like the Babylon Bee or whatever, but I think you're coming across a lot of satire. They couldn't possibly, Jim, have record numbers of arrests if they're just processing people. Stop saying that.
Two things can be true at the same time, Joe.
I disagree with you.
Really?
Dude, if they're spending all their
There's
time
no
processing people, where are these arrests coming from?
Explain
Who's
to me why
doing
there's
it?
a record number of fentanyl coming through the border. Explain to me why 90% of all the fentanyl coming into this country is still coming through the border, right?
That's
so
where everybody brings
they're
it.
doing a job. They're doing their job. Yet there's still a record number of overdose in this country. There's still a record number of drugs.
It's a terrible problem.
Hold on. There's still a record number of drugs being allowed in this country.
It's terrible. I agree.
Right? You're not like, but it's not an open border, Joe. Really?
No.
You're honestly going to die on that cross? Okay, that's cool.
Again, it's something that you guys say.
Why are there 19 Democrats right now fighting not to end
silly.
Title 42? Why?
What is Title 42? Do you understand what it is?
Yeah, it's actually a health ordinance. It's not a law or anything like that.
Right.
But there are still Democrats trying to fight the administration to keep it going.
Sure, that's fine.
To keep illegal immigrants out. And it's not because of the freaking CDC. I mean, unfortunately, it's not because of the right reasons. I'll say that, right? I'll give you that much. Nobody's doing things for the right friggin' reasons. Title 42 is a health measure, not a immigration law, right? It's not. It's an absolute health measure. But the Republicans now and some of coming close to a quarter of the Democrats want to keep it in place for the wrong reasons. But they do. I don't know why. There should be a reason.
I'll be honest, dude. When it comes to the border, I'm not really worried about racism and stuff like that. I'm not.
I said I don't want to talk about the people.
No, I'm not either. I'm just saying, dude. I don't care about because it's the big push on progressive Democrat parts. Why they want to. That's their issue with Title 42. It's a racist law. I think stopping people who shouldn't be crossing the border is a simple matter of crime and punishment. You cross the border, whether you're white, black, or Hispanic. If you're illegally crossing our border, you get caught, you get arrested, and you should be deported. I 100% have no problem with that. And if it disproportionately affects Mexicans, well, it's just because that's who lives there. Of course it would disproportionately affect Mexicans. Come into this country legally. There's lots of ways that you can do that, especially now with the Democrat in office. Take advantage of it. That's all I'm saying. Jim, when it comes to the border, we don't have an open border. There's no open border policy.
You can die on that cross, brother. Go right ahead.
There's nothing to die on. You guys can keep saying it. I'm going to say that the record number of arrests would prove that they're really doing a good job at the border trying to stop drugs from coming in. It's a problem that I don't think anyone disagrees with.
I never said that they're not doing a good job. I think Border Patrol is doing everything they possibly can with the resources that they've been given. 100%. I honestly believe that. What I do think is they're getting handcuffed by this administration. They're being called racist. They're being called whippers.
What is
People
your evidence that they're being handcuffed by the administration?
So when I mean by handcuffed, I don't mean like literally. What I mean by is
no, I know you don't mean literally.
What I mean
How are
is
they
by
being
this.
handcuffed?
When Joe Biden comes out and says, and the White House press secretary, and you can't deny it, right, says that they're whipping people at the border. Right, you heard.
Are they whipping people at the border? Because if they are, they
came back and said
be.
Absolutely not.
Well, good. Then we don't want to be torturing people. I think we learned that at Guantanamo.
Well, hold on, Joe. Hold on. But this is a case where Kyle Rittenhouse was a white supremacist before the trial even took place. But these guys have been off works for, I can't remember. It's been like 8 months now.
But also not for nothing. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't on trial for being a white supremacist. He was on trial for being a murderer.
I know that.
Who happened to have, slightly white supremacist kind of views.
I know, because he shot white people. But anyways, why? What I mean
by the way,
that
lawsuit against Whoopi Goldberg and The View, that's been debunked. That's not a thing. I
don't even care about that, to be honest with you.
Well, we said that. You said last week that was the thing, and I looked it up, and it's not true. Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg and Kyle Rittenhouse, I don't even remember saying. I don't even know about that thing. I don't know if that was me.
There was a thing going around, about a $40 million lawsuit. And it's not true. He actually took Whoopi's apology, and he was happy with it. Because as it turns out, Jim, I hate to say this, and I'm going to go on record as saying it. Are you ready? Kyle Rittenhouse is a decent kid.
He was in a, you know what? I always said that. I blamed his parents from day one. I think his parents should have been held on trial. A, he was a minor. B, who says, yeah, go ahead, son. Here's a gun. Go across state lines. Go to a freaking riot. Like, why? Like, what parent does that? I got
terrible ideas. A lot of bad ideas. Rittenhouse, definitely not the best decision maker, but I don't think he's a bad person. I think he put himself in a spot he shouldn't have, and he ended up having to shoot people that he shouldn't have. And the whole incident was really unfortunate. And, here's the thing. Look, it came at a time in America where I think people really felt like they had to defend America. And I think Kyle Rittenhouse, again, people are going to be upset with me for saying this. I think he's a good dude. And I think for him, I think he thought he was doing the right thing. Again, that idea of I have to protect property against humans is a weird, I don't know. But I get what he thought he was doing. He, again, should he have gone to the crowd? No. They didn't like him. He knew that. That was a bad move. Everything I've seen in the aftermath, even the way he sort of handled, whether it be President Trump or some of the right-wing media, dude, he's played it up a little bit, but he's not a bad dude,
Exactly,
and it's unfortunate that, again, people want to make assumptions about his views or about anybody's views without really knowing anything. Yeah.
I just need to interrupt right there. You just said some people. I'm not talking about some people, Joe. I'm talking about the president of the United States and the White House press secretary called him a white supremacist on national television before any evidence came out. And then, right, to get back to my original point, and then they call these Border Patrol agents who were immediately put on administrative leave without pay, calling them racist for whipping people at the border. Like, they weren't. They were the reins of the horse that they were holding in the picture. Just, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't, they had zero whips in their hands. They don't carry whips. It was the reins. But these people had zero evidence. Say these things. These people get put out on leave. So everybody, that just hikes up the fear for people to want to do things. Because now they're going to be called a white supremacist. Now they're going to be called a racist by the president of the United States if they do something that looks inappropriate, that it's completely not. That's what I mean by handcuffing.
Okay. So just real quick, looking up what Biden said about Rittenhouse. Biden said he acted with, I'm sorry. This is Rittenhouse saying that Biden acted with malice in defaming his character. He didn't straight up call him a white supremacist. He did suggest, that he was a white supremacist, but he didn't straight up call him one. So close enough. So I'll definitely give you that one. I wasn't sure how true or false that was, but that's fine. As for Border Patrol and the whips, Let's see what we got cooking for that.
Hit it.
Okay. Border Patrol does not use whips. That's what I want to see. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah, they definitely did not. All right. I said that, right? They were just reins. They were the reins that they were holding on to.
Yep. Biden says Border Patrol agents will pay after whipping at Haitian migrants while charging them on horseback. Called the treatment of migrants dangerous and outrageous. This was on September 24th of 2021. Biden condemns Border Patrol agents, says they'll face consequences.
Wasn't even a whip in sight. Not one around them for miles. So I was right there. And that's what I'm talking about. And I said this before, right? They're out of line and they're out of their depth by saying stuff like that. Hey, if Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 black guys, it comes back and he's guilty of freaking a hate crime, because that's what it eventually would have been. And Joe Biden comes out and says he's a white supremacist and he's condemning him. That's something we can applaud about, because he should be condemning a white supremacist killing 2 black guys, right? But doing it prior with zero evidence is just
now. BT Dubs, I'm reading this article about Biden and Border Patrol, and guess what website it's on? It's on the Republican National Committee website. Border agents smeared or cleared. I'm looking around, and again, maybe this is just the liberal media doesn't want the story getting out. I don't see that story anywhere else.
Go to CNN.
Again, right, listen, and this is something, by the way, that happened in September.
He has to be defamed to be cleared, right? To be cleared, a mistake has to be made. So they're all saying that it was cleared. Good on them. They all retracted it. Good on them. They all say it was cleared. But there has to be a mistake to be cleared. And that was the mistake, Joe. Right? I mean, they're not going to say it was cleared if it was nothing.
Ready? Here's another website where I'm finding this. Lawofficer.com. White House refuses to apologize after. Again, dude, I feel like this story is really only popping up on websites.
So it's not true, right? So it's
I'm
never
not saying
happened.
it's not
There's
true.
Videos,
I'm not saying it's not true.
Articles.
Clearly, these guys were cleared. Clearly, true. Biden said if they did something, they would pay. I don't know that he defamed anybody.
They were
put if
on
I were
administrative leave that second for doing
by whom?
Job.
By Joe Biden? You think Joe Biden put them on leave, or did their boss?
Their boss did under the political pressure, because Joe Biden called them fucking whippers. He called them racist. He had to do it. I mean, when a cop shoots a suspect, just called when a cop shoots a suspect and they put him on leave, needs to pay. What do you think the guy's going to do?
When a cop shoots somebody, they put him on paid administrative leave pending the investigation. That doesn't mean they did or that they didn't do it, did anything wrong. It means they're going to investigate the shooting.
Nobody did anything. Nobody even got hurt. It was a pitcher. These people were put on administrative leave over a pitcher. Joe.
Okay, well, paid leave isn't the worst thing that could happen to you. A few days off with pay while they investigate something that happened. You guys trying to make a big deal out of nothing. This is a nothing burger.
Nothing burger.
They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't get in trouble. They didn't lose their jobs. And the president said if they did something wrong, they would pay. Well, they didn't. Good news. This is another one of those great news stories.
I don't understand. Okay, you know what, Joe? It is 44 minutes after the hour. We do have to take a break, and we will get to Joe's 2 minutes of crap because...
Wait, what was all this? Not crap?
Because, well, no, it is to you because somebody from the right said it. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, right? If somebody from the right said it, it's garbage. But if CNN said it, or if MSNBC said it, or if Politico said it, it's spot on.
I like a website that's not borderpatrolagents.com, dude. That's all.
I know. Why would you listen to the Border Patrol agents that actually are going through this?
That's not the real
CNN. There you go. That's smart, Joe.
I'll take the word of actual reporters over
The actual
a bunch
people
of
doing the job. Okay, good job.
right, because who's got a more biased opinion? The people doing the job.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut.
Elon Musk has suddenly become a new hero on the right. Musk has decided to purchase Twitter because apparently he's grown tired of trips to outer space. Musk, who grew up in apartheid South Africa, he knows a thing or two about racism, more than most other people. Now, Elon is under the impression that Twitter wants the public's trust. And maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm not sure, though, he understands what political neutrality is. Allowing all legal speech is not a good idea. Free means free, but this isn't about right or left. There's a lot of decent folks in the middle. Now, Elon tried to clear up what he meant, but he just said a whole bunch of words. I don't even know what he's saying there. When we talk about censorship, what is it we're talking about? Which of these conservative values are actually being censored? What exactly are these Christian conservative values that we hear about? Lower taxes, deregulation, low corporate tax. Sometimes conservatives ask, why, if the left is so tolerant of people, and by tolerant, want to give them the same basic rights as everyone else, why are they so intolerant of conservative views? Free speech doesn't mean that you could just spout anything you want, anytime you want, to anyone you want. Try going into a movie theater and yelling fire. See how fast you end up behind bars. Not being able to share views on social issues on a public platform is not a violation of your free speech. And trust me, you don't want to end up on Karen's Go Wild telling an Ecuadorian American landscaper to go back to Mexico. Maybe you do, but believe me, your employer and your family don't. Facebook and Twitter banning your crappy opinion isn't a First Amendment issue. It's not even censorship. It's doing you a favor. Now, there's two sides in the battle for equal rights in this country, supporters and their enemy. When one side is fighting for their lives to matter, it's not a fair fight. Also, one side refuses to compromise on anything. Now back to this clown. Elon Musk likes to be admired and revered. And something tells me he already puts the coke in the cocaine. But listen, that's none of my business. And if anyone has the time and the resources to fix all the ice cream machines at McDonald's, it would be this guy. I feel like Elon Musk typed in common people problems into a Google search, and this is what he came up with. Fixing Twitter isn't as easy as censoring posts. Elon Musk blocked Public Citizen on Twitter. That is a nonprofit consumer advocacy group that champions public interest in the halls of power. I assume Elon will unblock them and the countless others that he's blocked as he forces people to get out of their echo chambers and right into the crosshairs of hate and idle veiled threats. Everyone likes a common sense solution, but this one doesn't make much sense, and Musk should seriously worry about bigger issues. Shoot for the stars, Elon. Literally. Because there are real-world consequences that go beyond hurt feelings. And sometimes blocking someone is not an option.
All righty, here we go. I had my own little pick on this one here, Joe, because I want everybody to understand something here. That Elon Musk did block the public citizen from his personal account, right?
Mhm.
It's not like he banned anybody. He didn't
Right.
kick anybody off the platform. And how do we know this? Because the public citizen tweeted out that they were just blocked. So let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. I can block somebody off.
You did that for 44 minutes about everything else.
Right? I can block somebody off of my personal account. It doesn't make me.
Yeah, but if
censoring
you're
that
the guy
person.
talking about no
Nobody
censorship, then
who's
blocking
censoring?
people's
Who's
that's
he
censoring
censoring?
people. Well, that's
Who's he
exactly
censoring?
what
No.
me
He's
blocking
censoring
someone
from
me blocking
himself.
someone.
From himself, his personal account.
Absolutely.
They're still on Twitter. They
Dude,
still
listen.
have a platform. Do they not? Do they still have a platform?
Yes.
Can they say whatever they want?
Not to Elon Musk.
Okay, and that's his personal right.
Well,
just
he
like
owns
is
it.
yours, right?
Dude, again, you can't be the free speech guy and be blocking people on Facebook.
From his personal
the
account?
Supreme
Yes,
Court
that's a
already ruled against Donald Trump
They're
about that.
they're still.
I can't
Elon
believe
Musk
this is
still
the sword
giving
you're
them
falling on right now.
a platform, right? No,
Yeah.
no. I don't understand why this is all of a sudden. Number one, he's not the hero of the right. He's still a friggin' independent. More
Everybody
left
loves
than
that guy
anything,
on the right.
right? I don't understand why, right? This guy is giving more money to Democrats than Trump,
Right.
which is a lot,
Yep.
right? Like, let's not forget about this, people, right? We need to let's stay focused here, right? He's not a Republican. He's not, right? He voted for Obama. He donated.
Right. That also
a crap
doesn't mean
ton of
he's not a
money
little bit racist. Those things could all be true.
to Obama's campaign, to Biden's campaign, to Clinton's campaign. So he's not. I don't care if he's. I mean, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying
He
is
strikes me as
not,
much better. He
a
probably
Republican.
donated both sides.
right. Well, he might be. You know what? That's a possibility.
Yeah.
True. That is a possibility. Right. Also, I wanted to bring this up, seeing how we're talking about Elon Musk, and Elizabeth Warren tweeted out that he doesn't pay taxes either. Like, how is that not disinformation?
Yes, that is disinformation.
So-
that should not be
is
allowed.
the new disinformation board going to take that down? Oh, by the way,
It should.
before we go hamming and hawing about this disinformation board, I don't see anywhere. I've been trying to find it. I've been looking on the government websites. There is zero penalties. Like, that's disinformation. That's all these people are doing. That's disinformation. They're not stopping it. I don't think they're stopping it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to disinformation, the penalty is they just take down your post. It's not even a hand slap. It's just you can't do that.
So, but here's the problem with it, Joe.
Yeah.
The person that they appointed to head this up would have taken down the Hunter Biden story. Said that the Trump-Russia collusion was absolutely 100% true. Pushed the Steele dossier saying it was 100% true. So that turned out to be all incorrect. I won't even call it mis or disinformation, but that just turned out to be incorrect. So if this person is in control, even though it is correct, and she just thinks it is because that's exactly what happened here,
You do know
she's going to
she's
take
not-
it down.
You know she doesn't
Right.
decide by herself, right?
I-
You know there's a whole
You know what? Let's
panel of people.
not do this. Let's not try to
Explain what's
don't do
really
that.
happening.
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
you're
no, no,
acting
no.
like
Don't-
it's this one liberal
That-
lady's like, I get
She's
to
the
decide what
fucking head
goes
of
on
it, Joe. Why
Hey,
would you
you think-
put somebody?
Jim, there's like
who is
50 million
completely
accounts.
biased,
There's like
completely
50 million
biased to
accounts.
your side, completely 100% biased to your side, in charge of the disinformation board. You want me to tell you why, Joe?
It's an
I'll tell you why.
insane
Because they
accusation to
lost
make
Twitter.
about a person. Who
Because
lost
they
Twitter?
lost
Who's trying
the
to win
Democrats.
Twitter?
The Democrats, the information war. Yeah,
Is that
they
what
just
you're?
lost
Is that
it.
how you view all this as winning and losing it? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Really?
You lost me
don't.
big time at the end there.
Really?
The Democrats
No, you
lost
don't.
Twitter. Yeah, maybe they won't go on
No.
Twitter. Is that what you're saying? They'll go
You
on TikTok.
know exactly what I'm
You guys
talking
hate the
about.
TikTok.
Let's
It
see.
drives
Let's
you
see.
guys crazy.
Twitter said that the Hunter Biden laptop story was 100% disinformation and actually kicked somebody off the platform, unlike Elon Musk did,
Yeah,
because he didn't, but actually kicked them off the platform because they said it was untrue.
right.
Not that it because it was
Right.
true, but because they said
Well,
it
what was
wasn't
true? That he had a laptop?
Yeah.
Or that there was something bad on the laptop?
Yeah. And it's all coming out, Joe. Wait, I told you to wait.
You
I'm
keep
not
saying that
anything.
and nothing's happening.
Oh, no,
This is
my
like
friend.
a QAnon commercial.
Okay, so
You
because
see,
only
Hunter
read-
Biden, it's all going down, and Trump's going to be back in office next week. You'll
No.
see.
Oh, by the way, we need to talk about that as well. All right, I really want
Trump
to talk
coming
about
back to
that.
office next week.
Because no, listen.
What?
This disinformation board.
Mhm.
What do you guys think would happen if Trump did win in 24? What do you think would happen with that friggin' disinformation board thing? So we've discussed this, you and I, in this show, right? You and I have discussed this. You don't do something like this that the other person is going to be able to use against you in the future.
You
So
understand
let's
that.
just say,
you
hold
understand
on.
that that's
Let's
an
just
internal.
say-
That has nothing to do with the government, right?
Yeah. The government is funding it. The president appointed it. Like the president made this bureau. That is, I don't know how much more governmental this can be. Without them saying
Again,
the word we are government in their
They're
title,
not. They're not. The
they
government's
are
not
part of the
deciding.
government.
The government is not deciding what stays and goes on Twitter.
I
don't
didn't say
know.
that.
Again,
I didn't say
don't
that.
know.
I didn't say
Oh,
that.
all right. Fair enough.
I said that they're going to be able to decide now what is true and what isn't.
Who is the government?
This disinformation board, like the Hunter Biden story, is going to be deemed disinformation, even though it's been proved true. She's
It
going to
hasn't
deem
been
it.
proved true. You keep saying that without there
It
being
has been
any
proved.
sort of evidence.
It has been proved that there has been a laptop from Hunter Biden and there are incriminating emails on there.
There's no incriminating emails.
Okay.
You would have seen the incriminating
You keep
emails.
saying that, brother.
I assume that they would have already come out.
Keep saying that, man. Oh my God! I just hope.
Disinformation Governance Board.
I
and federal
just hope it
government
doesn't
will
blow
fight
up in your face.
disinformation. It's part of a larger DHS effort to blunt Russian disinformation campaigns.
Mhm.
According to the Associated Press, the board will immediately work to combat what it describes as misinformation geared towards migrants, which the wire service says has helped fuel surges of people arriving at the U.S.-Mexican border. Specifically, the news agency says human smugglers have been spreading misinformation about border policies to drum up business. So they're telling people in South America that they should come to the border. That's one of the misinformation things that's currently being done. And that's part of the reason why there's such an influx to the border. So you want to fix the border problem, this misinformation board's going to help. This isn't you again, dude, you act like this is okay.
I'm gonna mute myself. Hold on.
Listen,
because I'm gonna really laugh at that comment. So I'm gonna go ahead.
Feel free to, and you should. Yeah, listen. Again, you guys are dealing with a lot of information that is false. And I know it's upsetting. I know it's upsetting that they literally. Go ahead. I thought you were muting yourself.
Do you really think this is a good idea?
I do, because we're talking about like 3 different topics. We're talking about January 6th. We're talking about misinformation as it goes towards COVID, and about immigrants coming to the border. So it's very specific topics. Again, you can still have conservative views. You're not going to get in trouble for them. It's, again, when you start getting into things that just are patently untrue. Now, if this Hunter Biden thing ever ends up being true 3 years later, Jim, I will do a whole show on it. I mean, we could dissect it from start to finish. But I'm saying after all this time, you keep saying it's coming out. Nothing's happened. Just nothing's happened. He offered a guy a meeting with his dad, who was the vice president. That's about as bad as it seems to have gotten in there. Jim,
So
if he did something wrong,
can I ask you a question, honestly?
you tell me where you're seeing all this great information. Because, again, if it's in the public, how come no one else seems to know about it but you?
There's a lot of people that know about it.
Yeah, people like Dave.
A crap ton, right? But we all don't just watch CNN. We don't all just read.
I don't watch. I haven't watched
right?
CNN
I don't
since Jim
understand.
Comey was the FBI.
No, I don't
director.
understand where you're getting your information from, because it completely differs than mine. It completely.
I get mine
differs
from
what I
actual government websites.
Oh, okay. From actual government, like what?
I don't get it from the Babylon Bee. I can tell you that much. None of my news comes from there, homie. What?
So what about the New York Times? Is that okay? Can I read the New York Times? What about USA Today?
Is it an op-ed from the New York Times?
What about the Washington Post? Can I read the Washington Post?
You can read any article you want from it.
I'm wondering which ones are legitimate in your eyes. That's the ones I want to know.
The ones that are written by people who did research reporters, people of authority who write articles, that's where I like to get the news from. I could go to the Border Patrol website and see the work that they're doing and the arrests that they're making. That's where I'm going for my news.
And that's great.
Right.
But go on there and see how many gotaways there were. Do they mention how many gotaways there were last year?
No, Jim, I don't need
how many drugs that got through last year?
I already know it's a ton.
Okay.
I know it's a ton. I'm not saying it's not. You're arguing with me about the facts that I agree with you on.
No, I'm arguing with
understand
you that Mayorkas is like, oh, the border's under control. He said that to Congress yesterday.
Yeah.
Does it sound like it's under control when fentanyl and overdose deaths are an all-time freaking high, killing more people than a goddamn pandemic that we're still in? Like, doesn't sound under control when it's coming through the southern border. Whether Border Patrol is doing the job or not, good on them for getting the most amount of fentanyl off the streets on all-time records, right? Great, good on them. I'm not talking about the Border Patrol. I'm talking about Mayorkas now saying that it's under control. Well, it's not under control, Joe, when the overdose deaths are at an all-time high for young Americans, especially Black Americans, from drugs coming through the southern border. You cannot say that it's under control because it's not. That's it being intellectually dishonest.
I'd have to see the numbers to know. I don't know enough. I don't know enough about what the numbers look like for them to say it's under control. I think they're trying to say, based on the fact that they've had a record number of arrests, that it's under control. But I think you and I agree that a record number of arrests probably means a record numbers come into the country that's gotten through. And I get all that. You're acting like nobody cares that fentanyl's getting in, though, and that's just not true.
Yeah, well, you know what? When the director of Homeland Security says, nah, everything at the border's fine, they don't care, Joe.
Under control, they're fine. Did he say it was fine or under control? Right. That means he's got a plan in place and they're picking people off. It's under control. There was a problem.
Doing a great job, right?
There was, a record number of arrests sounds like a good start.
2 years now. But
a record number of arrests, you'll agree, sounds like a good start.
Yeah, but
getting something under control.
Hold on. You're only saying one half of the coin, though, Joe. Say the whole thing. There's a record number of arrests. Good on them. But there's also a record number of deaths. There's also a record number of freaking drugs coming through.
I think, I'll be honest, I think the stuff that's coming through is even
dishonest. Right there, brother. Only saying one half of the story.
I was the one that told you.
Fine. They have a record number of arrests.
I was the one that told you that before. That's fine. That's literally what I was saying before. Again,
you're telling me that it's fine. You're telling me that it's good.
No, who said fine?
You did. You said it was fine.
You said Yorkis. Yorkis said it was fine. I didn't say it was fine. I never said anything about it being fine. You literally said Yorkis said it was fine. I didn't say he's right.
Is that how you pronounce his name, by the way?
I don't know. I don't even care.
Mayorkas.
Mayorkas. I don't want to be lumped in with anybody. I didn't say that. All I pointed out was there was a record number of arrests, which if you're going to tell me something's under control, you better show me a record number of arrests. Now, I haven't seen if there's still record numbers coming in. I would assume based on all those deaths, there probably is. And Jim, I even fear that you're looking at a more powerful fentanyl than what you're getting before.
I think you're getting
stuff that's more mixed.
They're not even taking it and dying. They're trying to give mouth to mouth to the person that's having that's ODing, and they're dying.
Right.
I mean, it's out of control right now.
It's a problem.
I don't care about the immigrants. I care about the drugs.
I'm with you. Listen. You got to get over this open border thing. There's not one, and no. Listen. I'm going to tell you this right now. No reasonable Democrat is for open borders. You might be.
You know what? I agree with that.
Hold on. Maybe AOC or maybe Taliba Mashiba there. Maybe whatever.
Taliba Mashiba.
Maybe those four. Maybe they're. I don't care. They aren't representative of the overwhelming majority of people who do support Border Patrol, who do want a border that's secure. Nobody wants an open border. We certainly don't have an open border. Again, part of the misinformation campaign is
come on, Joe.
They're telling people in South America, come to the U.S. They're letting everybody in, and that's why people are showing up. That's part of a misinformation campaign that helped to inflate the problem we had at the border. Why are all these people suddenly coming here? Now we know why. Because Russian bots are like, dude, America's wide open. Get in there. And it's not. As for the rule about sending people back to Mexico, I 1,000% agree with that. If you crossed over from Mexico, you could wait in Mexico till your trial. I don't think cracking the Rio Grande border entitles you to sit in an American prison. And I tell you right now, Jimmy, you tell me if you agree with this. I think it would be a much bigger deterrent if you told people they would be sitting in a Mexican jail instead of in an American jail, bro, because even when they wrap you up like a baked potato and put you in a cage in America, that's still better than a Mexican prison any day of the week.
I'm going to applaud you on that one, bro. I will. I absolutely will. I'm on the CDC website right now, and I'm trying to get the raw numbers, right? Like the raw numbers. But right now, among the 47,600 opioid-involved deaths, overdose deaths in the United States, and this is only in 2017, it has risen 59%. It rose 59% to 2018. It has rose 329% from then into 2020. So it's an all-time record, right?
We lost 1.2 million people to opioid overdoses in the last 10 years. That is an unacceptable number. And again, 10 years spans Obama, Trump, and Biden. It's a huge problem. Again, this is one of those things, Jim, where I'm not throwing anybody a pass, man. This is one of those things where people are just right. People have been passing the buck for too long. Somebody's got to do something about it. I've been saying for a long time, listen, I was all for Trump and the border and protecting the border. Walt's stupid. If you want to put 100,000 Border Patrol agents and drones down there and spend $10 billion protecting it, I'm all in. I'm all in. I just don't see the sense in a wall, honestly. If you could do a wall that would also somehow bury 20 feet into the ground, maybe. I think it would be the biggest, most beautiful wall ever. But the wall he was proposing it was going to be more or less just a big F you like wall. We need actual border security.
What we need to do is hire this wall out to the Chinese because they know how to build a friggin' wall. That's what we need.
Dude, again, if you were going to build something like that thing, that would be fine. Again, dude, the idea of spending $25 billion. Also, I'll say this, Jim. If he would have got Mexico to pay for it, I would have been all right with it.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Have you heard about them giving out cell phones to track migrants? I mean, the White House press secretary said that they are. Like Jen Psaki came out and said that they are. Yeah. Right. They're handing out cell phones.
Like Obama phones? Are those leftover Obama phones?
I have no idea.
Probably, right?
Maybe. But this is how we're tracking illegal immigrants now.
With 5G, we're also giving them cancer. So that's cool.
Come on. I've worked for the government. I know how government spending goes. They're not getting 5G. Man. They're lucky if they're getting 3. All right. I'm telling you right now. They're getting the old flip phone. This is Jen Psaki asked Peter Doocy in her questioning about, right? So Peter Doocy asked her, Peter Doocy is from Fox News, what about the DHS, giving out cell phones at the behest of the administration, right? The administration asked them to do this. And her response was, well, how else are we supposed to track them, Peter? So they're absolutely doing it. She absolutely 100% admitted it. All right. That's a direct quote. You can look it up. So this is our new immigration policy now. Come on in. We'll give you a cell phone and try to call you later.
Yeah, I mean, I think putting people on the honor system is definitely a good way to die.
This is a great way to get yourself killed, right?
I feel like right now you're trying to get me to, in some way, defense that, and I will not take your bait. No, thank you. That sounds like a terrible idea.
All right, if you're not going to do it, then why don't we just stop the show because it's been an hour and 8 minutes. This has been a lot of fun tonight. I really, really had a great time tonight. Really good talks tonight. A lot of topics we absolutely need to stay on top of. Thank you, everyone, very much for coming in and listening. I truly, truly appreciate it. I love you, Sketchy Pants, wherever you are, even though you do not like my comments.
He loves your comments.
I like Sketchy Pants. Are you kidding me?
Sketchy peasant. You call him Sketchy Pants?
Yeah, I did, actually. Sketchy peasant. I do. I like it. But
Sketchy's the man.
I don't know one person in the QAnon organization, by the way. I couldn't tell you one person's name, not one, just to let you know. But anyways, I'm going to end it on
John
that
F. Kennedy
note.
Jr.
Bam!
That's the leader. That's the leader, co-leader, Donald Trump.
Sketchy Peasant, I love you too. Thank you guys very much for listening. Divided We Stand. For Joe Aguirre, I am Jim Battisti saying good night and God bless.
Come on out for a day of fun to the Cove Kids Classic, presented by Clarity. Friday, May 6, 2022 at Lyman Orchards Golf Club to benefit the Cove Center for Grieving Children. Partnership opportunities are available. All proceeds from the Cove Kids Classic support the Cove's free programs. Please consider partnering with us to continue to support grieving children and teens in 2022 and beyond. For more information or questions, call Allison Gamber at 203-634-0500 or email allison@covect.org. The Cove Kids Classic takes place Friday, May 6th at Lyman Orchards Golf Club. Registration begins at 8 a.m. Shotguns start at 9 a.m. on the player course.